Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for sticking around. Alright, let's get into the news. Top FBI official had close relationship with dozens of journalists and accepted tickets to White House Correspondents' Dinner. The FBI's top national security official had dozens of improper meetings with journalists and accepted tickets from one journalist to the White House Correspondents' Dinner interactions that FBI officials said were, quote, no and dangerous. Michael Steinbach, who served as an FBI executive assistant director, failed to report the gifts on his federal financial disclosures. According to an inspector general report, he met regularly from 2014 until his abrupt retirement in February of 2017 with 7 reporters and had contact with 21 others. His interactions with journalists overlapped with his work on major counterterrorism cases and Crossfire Hurricane. The report obtained through the Freedom of Information Act is the latest example of a top FBI official accepting gifts from journalists. The FBI prohibits employees from accepting gifts from a prohibited source, a category that specifically includes journalists without prior authorization. FBI officials told the Inspector General that the off-the-books meetings like Steinbach's could, quotes, lead to a lot of problems within the Bureau. Former Biden aide says gas prices won't matter if an insurrection is successful. A former top aide to Biden said gas prices won't matter if people are living under martial law after an insurrection is successful. Simone Sanders was defending Republican Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming when she said, quote, what she is doing matters. It matters for our democracy. For people that said they didn't watch the first hearing. I got into a very spirited debate with some of my young people. And I'm like, do y'all not care? And they're like, oh, but gas. She continues, quote, the gas will matter if an insurrection is successful and y'all live in under martial law. Sanders said Sanders was also formerly a spokesperson for Harris before leaving the office in order to help her own MSNBC show. She faced mockery and ridicule after her ratings for her first show at the Progressive News Network were embarrassingly low. Republican Mayra Flores wins U.S. House seat in South Texas' first GOP win there in over 150 years. Republican Mayra Flores has flipped a U.S. House seat in deep blue South Texas in what is a likely indicator of the coming red tsunami that could hit the Democrat Party this fall during the midterm elections. Flores beat Democrat Dan Sanchez in the special election for Texas' 34th congressional district. The seat was previously held by Representative Philemon Vila, who stepped down earlier this year to become a lobbyist as all signs pointed to a brutal upcoming midterm election season for Democrats. Flores is now the, quote, first GOP candidate to represent that area of the Rio Grande Valley since 1870 of the Houston Chronicle reported, adding that she is now the, quote, first congresswoman born in Mexico. Dave Wasserman, a reporter, tweeted, quote, I've seen enough. Mayra Flores Republican defeats Dan Sanchez Democrat in the Texas 34th special election, flipping an 84% Hispanic Rio Grande Valley seat. Red Biden administration stonewalls on release of thousands of illegal immigrants into New York. Representative Andrew Garbarino, a member of the House Homeland Security Committee, accused the administration of stymieing congressional attempts to obtain information about a series of 2021 flights that carried unaccompanied immigrant children from the southern border into communities of New York. Quote, now additional acts of crime and violence are surfacing. And I remain troubled by the potential security and health risks that these undocumented migrants pose to my constituents. Garbarino and other Republicans in Congress who oversee DHS suspect that the administration did not properly perform security screening and medical tests on these undocumented children before introducing them into US communities, some of which have since experienced a spike in crime attributed to these illegal immigrants. The Biden administration tried to keep these flights secret, but media reports late last year exposed the efforts, sparking congressional ire in a spate of investigations. Garbarino wrote, quote, if we don't have a clearer picture of who these children are, and when they are being brought to New York, we can't safeguard them or our community from that. Governor Mike DeWine signs bill allowing armed teachers in Ohio schools. Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine signed legislation Monday to allow school staff and teachers to be armed for classroom defense. Last week it was reported that Ohio lawmakers have expedited legislation to arm teachers following the tragic school shooting in Uvalde. Texas last month. DeWine made clear he would sign the legislation, and local news reports noted DeWine saying that's our commitment to our schools, to our parents, and to our students. The new law lowers the required training hours for armed school personnel from about 700 hours to 4 scenario-based training hours, plus a maximum of 20 hours for first aid training, history of school shootings and reunification education. The streamlined training requirements means teachers can be armed for classroom defense when school starts this fall. The New York Times noted that the legislation does not force schools to arm teachers. Schools that do not want staff and teachers armed can still bar them from carrying guns for classroom defense. But Boba introduces measure to classify fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. Representative Lauren Bobo from Colorado introduced a bill Monday that would classify fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction or WMD. The bill would direct the Assistant Secretary in charge of the Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction Office in the Department of Homeland Security to treat fentanyl as a WMD. Boebert told Fox News in an interview that the bill would allow DHS, the Justice and Defense Departments, and the Drug Enforcement Agency to better coordinate their efforts to eliminate the threat posed by this deadly substance. The lawmaker said in an email to The Hill that almost everyone she talks to in Colorado knows someone who has died from fentanyl. Fentanyl is America's silent killer and is now the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. She said the saddest thing about the fentanyl crisis is that it is preventable. 9 other House Republicans have co-sponsored the legislation. Barbara told Fox News her bill would not target legally prescribed fentanyl. Doctors can prescribe the drug as a treatment for severe pain, but illicitly manufactured fentanyl can be deadly even in small doses. Pull for Intense say they will not watch any of the J6 hearings 4 and 10. Likely Voters said they will not watch any of the hearings regarding the events at the Capitol from early last year. A Rasmussen report survey released Tuesday found that 39% of likely voters have no interest in watching the televised J6 hearings, the first of which kicked off last week during primetime. Just 1 in 5 said they plan to watch all the televised hearings, while 14% said they will watch most. Another 22%. They said they will watch some, notably even Biden admitted he did not initially watch the committee's debut. I didn't get to watch them last night because I was doing other business by instead last week. But I will tell you what, there's a lot going on. Interest in the hearings is divided among party lines as a majority of Republicans, 57%, and 47% of independent voters say they will not watch any of the hearings. In contrast, 60% of Democrats indicated they will watch at least most of the hearings. However, most across the board consider it important, 57% to 39%. Nonetheless, most admit the hearings are unlikely to change their opinion on the event. Michelle Obama's Get Out the Vote event in LA sparsely attended despite Selena Gomez's appearance. Actress, producer and pop singer Selena Gomez touted Michelle Obama at the first ever but sparsely attended When We All Vote Culture of Democracy Summit in Los Angeles on Monday. This work is incredibly important to me, especially when I think about the people who sacrifice so we can all exercise our right to vote. Gomez said that she introduced the former First Lady. The one-time Disney star insisted that she and the summit aim to urge more people to vote in American elections and to change the culture around voting and increased participation in each and every election. Michelle Obama said during her address, "I want to implore every American who cares about our democracy not to just get angry or dejected. I want you to get active. We've got to change the way we think about our democracy. And we've got to change the way we participate in it, not just every 2 or 4 years, but as a routine part of the way we all live." Obama started a group intending to stop the claims of voter suppression as in being endemic in American elections that is touted by fingers on the left. But there is little evidence that blacks have been prevented from voting. In fact, according to the Pew Research Center, except for a small dip in 2016, black participation has grown in nearly every election since the Obama years through to 2019. Still, since its founding, though, When We All Vote group has been the toast of the Hollywood set as number of countless actors, directors, writers, and other denizens of Hollywood as members, co-chairs and supporters. It was reportedly the former First Lady's first appearance at such an event since the start of the pandemic. Thank you for always watching and subscribing to the channel. Every channel subscribe is my motivation.